there, I'm Regina. I'm from Health Caring Mom, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to talk to you about having an autoimmune disease, specifically Hashimoto's. And that's what I was diagnosed with in 2015. So it's been about 4 years. I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary of being diagnosed. And I wanted to share with you all on resources, because even though it's been about 4 years, there wasn't a lot of information out there yet. I shouldn't say that. I couldn't find it. So I thought if I could help others, maybe it won't take you so long to come to realization that you can heal yourself. So I'm going to go back a little bit, back to 2015. When I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Now, I had no idea I had it. I had been to an endocrinologist for, back in 2005 is when I was first diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which I will explain what that is as well. But when I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I did not know where to start and how this happened. And so I'm going to go back and let you know, I just wrote down some notes here, how this all started for me. Now, many of you know what your thyroid is. If you don't, it's a butterfly-shaped gland that sits at the base of your neck. Now, your thyroid is a very important organ in your body. It regulates your heart rate, your blood pressure, your menstrual cycle, your metabolism, your breathing, the body temperature. Those are just kind of some really, I shouldn't say basic, but the basic the things that the thyroid gland does. And the thyroid disorders occur when there's too little, which means hypothyroidism, and too much is hyperthyroidism. Now, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism at 28 years old, when in turn, I actually had Hashimoto's. So I thought it was reverse. I thought I had hypothyroidism first, and then the autoimmune disease happened as a result, but it's actually the opposite. You actually develop an autoimmune disease first, in case of the thyroid gland. You develop the autoimmune disease first, and then the thyroid gland doesn't, in my case with hypothyroidism, doesn't make enough thyroid hormone, and then I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism is a slowdown effect. So the metabolism is slowed down, your heart rate is slowed down, you get very cold easily. I know I always have cold hands and cold feet. Fatigue, joint pain, rashes, skin issues, so like you can have eczema. I know eczema can be a result of many different other ailments as well, but in my case it was for hypothyroidism. And hyperthyroidism, is weight loss. You can have heart palpitations, anxiety, irritability, hair loss. Now, in my case, I had Hashimoto's, and I had symptoms of hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. So at times I would have heart palpitations, fatigue, weight loss, I would have weight gain. So it was kind of almost like a yo-yo. And this had been going on for, over a decade of just being on the Synthroid, which was the synthetic hormone that I was prescribed from the endocrinologist. That at the time, I thought that's all I had to do was take a pill and, I would be okay. And I remember at my son's postpartum visit, I remember going to the endocrinologist and him saying, "Oh, okay, well, now you've been on for, over a decade. The next thing would be thyroid removal." And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is not what I wanted to do. I thought I would just, get off medication because I had 3 children in less than 5 years. And I honestly thought it was something that my pregnancies, kind of what my body was telling me, that I needed thyroid hormone. And so anyhow, that is how I came about knowing I had hypothyroidism, after learning from the endocrinologist that I had to have my thyroid removed, or eventually, because of the burnout, because that's what happens with the synthetic medication, is I just kept having to increase the dosage, and eventually the thyroid just burns out. So I knew that I did not want to go that way. I was 36 at the time, and I did not want to have an operation with something taken out, because that brought on a whole other list of complications. And I honestly thought at my age, I did not want to start that. So I went in to look at functional medicine doctors. And in my area, I actually only found several. And I went to the one that was closest to me. And he was really great. And I saw him for about a year. And it was hard. It was really hard. And in my upcoming videos, I'm going to talk to you about steps to healing, and also, like I said, resources on where to go and how to change your lifestyle, because that's a big thing to do for somebody who was used to just kind of eating whatever. And that's how I always was. I ate whatever, I drank whatever. I was never heavy, I was never too thin, I liked to exercise, I was active, I never had any problems. And then all of a sudden it was, I had to change my diet, I had to change my lifestyle, I had to manage my stress. So these are all things that I will talk about in upcoming videos, but today I just wanted to focus on what an autoimmune disease was. And that's basically when, in the case with Hashimoto's, is your body, my own body, attacked my thyroid, and it produced antibodies. So it recognized it as a foreign substance and started attacking it. So there are many autoimmune diseases. I mean, there's multiple sclerosis, there's rheumatoid arthritis, there's celiac disease. And now with research, it seems to be apparent that once you have one autoimmune disease, you are very likely to develop another one. So that's really important to kind of get proper testing and see what you have and what you can do to prevent another either flare-up, which is very common, and also another autoimmune disease, because it's really debilitating. There are a lot of people who suffer from a lot more things than I have, so I'm very grateful that I've been able to be mindful of what's happening. And that's another big thing that I want to talk about in future episodes as well, is how to, kind of the warning signs on what to do when you feel something coming. I'm just looking back at my notes. So an autoimmune disease happens, and this is how I was explained from the functional medicine doctor, is basically a perfect storm has to happen in your body. So number one is specific genes do develop an autoimmune attack. So there is a genetic role factor in that. Second is a trigger that turns on the genetic expression, which I'll go into that. And the third is intestinal permeability, which is also known as leaky gut. And I know that's kind of a common phrase that's happening right now. And that is when there's just an interruption in the intestinal lining. And we all know now that your immune system is in your gut. So all of these three things have to happen, and that creates the perfect storm, and it creates autoimmunity. So it could be difficult to pinpoint all of those things. So in my next video, I will tell you about specifically a few books that I've used that helped me kind of figure out and narrow down what my triggers were, because no one is the same. So what may work for me doesn't work for you, and vice versa. And I just want to also say that I'm not a doctor. I was a massage therapist many, many years ago, so I do have kind of an intuition, and I've always kind of been in that healing aspect of helping others. But I am not a doctor, and this channel is set up just for resources, like I said, and things that have helped me, and ways for a community to form, because I know when I was first diagnosed, I had nobody besides, I mean, I had my husband and my family, but nobody had gone through any of this. So it was a little bit more emotional for me because there wasn't anyone I could talk to. And there wasn't anyone I could go to and say, hey, have you tried, this recipe, or have you tried, these beauty products, and so on and so forth. So I thought, I have friends that come to me for things because they know that I basically almost tried everything and anything, and I'm going to be honest. And so I thought, you know what? Let me set up something for people out there to come to me and ask me questions, and and I can maybe direct them with non-medical advice and help them out. So going back to the autoimmune diseases and Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is tricky because, like I said earlier, it does have hyperthyroidism symptoms and hypothyroidism symptoms, and it also runs in families. For whatever reason, it seems to peak during puberty, pregnancy, and perimenopause. So, and those as women, who are joining me, as you know, those are three big kind of hormonal changes that happen in the body. So there's some kind of link to that as well as to that, and toxic pollutants and your environmental factors have a lot to do with how your body can handle that toxic burden, which is something that I'll talk about in later episodes as well. And we're seeing so many girls specifically, I mean, it's common, it's 1 in 5 women will have either hypo or hypothyroidism due to the Hashimoto's. So that's a big statistic there. And there's so much that we are learning now because of social media, and so many people are coming out and saying things. So it's a good place to come and find things out. And as I'm learning things, I would love to share them with you. But just know this, your genes are not your destiny. Before, many, many years ago, I would say even, up to 50 years ago, 30 years ago, it was kind of just said, your genes are what you have. You get what you get and you don't get upset, right? But now we're knowing that there are things that turn on these expressions, like for an autoimmune disease. There's so many of them and so many things that are treatable. And yes, it is a chronic illness, and it is something that you will have to deal with every day for the rest of your life. And that also is daunting as well, because we're so used to just going to the doctor, right? Listening to medical advice, getting a prescription, and you're on your way. And, now it's not that way anymore. It's not that simple. Although we want it to be that simple, it's just not, and it's, harming our bodies. So that's all for today. I hope you don't have any questions, or if you do, please reach out to me. You can reach me on my Facebook page at Health Caring Mom, and also my YouTube channel at Health Caring Mom. And as we progress and get into more topics, I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear things that work for you, any suggestions, or like I said, any questions, and I'm happy to help. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be coming to you, it looks like every Monday, about 11 a.m. Eastern time. And what I'm looking for next week is I'll talk to you about I'll talk a little bit about healing, but mostly maybe some podcasts that I've listened to that have helped me from a doctor specifically, and then another book that had helped me kind of start my journey as to how I was going to heal myself and not rely on a medication. And if that's something that you have chosen, that path, there's nothing wrong with that, and that works for you. But I know with my particular circumstance, I knew I didn't want to go that way. And for me, it was my age. I was, like I said, 36. I just did not want to go that route and have an operation, and on top of that, be dependent on a medication the rest of my life, and knowing the other complications that it could have had. And I think when you have children, you kind of think a little bit differently. Before children, you think a little, not that you don't think about yourself, but you just don't think. And that was a wake-up call for me. So anyway, I hope this helps you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, thank you so much, and please share and subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you need any help with anything. I will talk to you soon. Thank you all. Bye.